Hey all. So this was not the video or the week of fishing I was expecting. Figured I'd be, after the muskie hunt, I'd be shooting fish in a barrel, going out for carp. Um, was a lot more difficult than I would have anticipated though, so we'll get into that. It all started with a little bit of inclement weather last week. So Thursday started as it usually does, with me DJing the car cruise at Peters Creek, and it was a blast as per usual, seeing all these classic cars out. Good time is had by all. But then we cut the festivities short when we realized that a thunderstorm was heading our way, but not before a little DJ humor. After packing up all my equipment, I did have a few minutes before the storm hit, so I ran over to my mom's house and whacked some weeds down just to get some trimming done. But as I'm doing this, I actually saw a massive updraft in the storm cloud. The entire updraft was coming at me like an anvil cloud. Now, granted, this system was too small to be a genuine supercell, but it did have scaled down versions of all the ingredients, so I was paying attention as I hurried up and took out the rest of the weeds before hopping in my car. But then looking at the rear of the storm, I saw this.
That ain't good. That ain't good at all. I was watching an updraft when I was, see, those are several small spirals trying to connect together. Question is, are they going to do it? It's too busy staring at it as opposed to staring at the camera. They're trying. They are trying. I was over here weed whacking. I saw a major updraft. Caught my attention.
So any number of thunderstorms can create small vortices like this, and they do mean circulation, but this particular cell actually created one of these. This would be a funnel cloud, basically a mini mesocyclone found in larger tornadic systems. And I apologize for not having my own footage. This was taken in the Pittsburgh area last year, but an interesting thing happens whenever you're in these situations. As someone who got stuck in a tornado before, traveling under it on a highway, I hate the fact that reaching for a camera and getting some great shots is not your first reaction. It's a very mesmerizing experience. It's 2 times I dropped the ball in these cases, and this time I even chased the storm. So I'm going to have to set up a go-to camera rig just on my dashboard, just in case I end up doing that again, just to better tell a story like this. So, chasing the storm, huh? Well, Jake, how'd that work out for you? Not well. Not well at all.
Tornado force.
By the way, that little clip was brought to you by Pecos Hank. If you haven't checked out his channel, I insist on checking it out. Before I watched fishing videos, I was an avid storm watcher, and I still follow him from time to time. It's just very entertaining to watch guys like Pecos Hank actually go into the heart of these storms. Fortunately, I don't have my own footage on the matter yet. I do have this reaction shot.
I was on the phone with my mom for a minute. She's nervous. That was the most intense 5-minute driving experience of my life. There's trees down, rain everywhere, cars were pulling over. I came around the bend on 88 right before Sheets. Imagine that. And yeah, me and the car in front of me almost ran into a tree. The only way to avoid it was to go in the other lane around a bend, and that's a Hail Mary move. It was not good at all, and it just came out of nowhere. Can't confirm that was a tornado. There was a ton of hail. Couldn't see anything for a minute, and it got nasty, real nasty. So we'll see what the NWS says.
So what's up with the sudden interest in weather? Well, My grandparents' house was nearly hit by the tornado that ravaged Mount Washington back in 1998. A year later, my house was hit by a microburst, as seen here, and I've been in several of those, as well as several lightning strikes. And I also remember the underreported on tornado that hit Pittsburgh back in 2007. This one actually went from the Science Center to about 10th Street Bridge. And you may not remember that, NWS does, but you might remember the ripped apart Science Center paneling where they had plywood covering it for the better part of the year. So I'm always fascinated by these storms because they're very underreported on in southwestern Pennsylvania. They're much smaller than what you get out in the Midwest and definitely Tornado Alley, but they can be devastating in their own rights. And oftentimes they're missed by the media, so I use my own five senses to see what's going on. Until that time where I ignored my own five senses and missed an obvious bow echo. Oh, it's not tornadic. Yeah, it can't be dangerous. Lightning, wind, sheer force winds. What could possibly go wrong?
I was like, I don't think this pavilion's going to help me much. But yeah, there you have that. That's not something I get to film every day.
So back to fishing. After the storm, my buddy Greg told me about this little pond, really, off of Peters Creek that holds a ton of carp, and he showed me some pictures of it. Problem is, you have to cross the creek and climb up a large hill. Under normal circumstances, yeah, it's manageable. When the entire hill is muddy as all hell and you're in your near 40s, it's more like
Alistair, do you have the sequence yet?
Okay, the sequence is 2, 2, 4, 2, 3.
What is this thing? I mean, it serves no useful purpose for there to be a bunch of choppy, crushy things in the middle of a hole. No, I think we shouldn't have to do this. It makes no logical sense. Why is it here?
Because it's on the television
Well,
show.
forget it. I'm not doing it. This episode was badly written.
agreed. So we went here instead. Hi, my name's Jake. I play saxophone, tour around the country, occasionally play bass, occasionally make and sell some music, and what's that other thing? Oh yeah, I also really love fishing. So we've been here before, except this time the weather conditions were a little bit more pleasant than what they were previously.
So, this is what I'm looking like right now. And that cold, even with my gloves on, is still shooting right through my fingers. It's almost like a frostbite in the wintertime. So I actually like the spot, but both times I've been down here, it was, shall we say, very cold weather.
Yeah.
Both times I came in February last year and then March this year. In March, it's when we were getting just above freezing rain and like 40-mile-per-hour winds. I mean, you feel the wind right now.
Yeah, right.
And this is a stagnant day.
And humid as hell.
That wind actually works to our advantage today.
That's my buddy Greg. He's wearing the Hero 5 and has his own Twitch channel. And he's something unique to this channel. Wait. What?
I do with this, it's just...
I feel like a state trooper now.
Excuse me.
Sir, I'm on body cam.
Yeah. You kids know where I can find anyone selling drugs?
Yep. Oh, they're beyond that.
What do you mean, am I wearing a wire?
What do you mean am I wearing a wire? I'm not wearing a wire.
Huh. Well, I have never seen them both in the same room. So, anyways, Greg is known as the OG Twitch kitchen streamer. He's the first one to actually put cameras in a kitchen and have followers just watch him do his job. And he also captured this live stream of him catching a flathead right across the river from where we are now. So this is like some social media royalty or something.
I used to fish behind PNC Park a lot, but you have more and more hopheads showing up trying to... I had one last year try to rush me when I was leaving. Trustworthy enough. This dude waited until we got to a dark spot. I'm carrying all my shit like I was, and I hear him rushing me. So I just stopped, turned around, looked at him like a meter than I looked.
Right.
Just stood there, didn't even flinch. So he just stopped, sized me up, and saw I was serious. Like,
Yeah,
okay, walked away.
This is a rod she found for $14.
Oh, nice. Off of what website?
She was at the Butler County
Oh, okay.
Fair.
That's a good place to find stuff like that. And look, I found some giant split shot just laying right here, so we're going to use you as a stopper. That wind is going to be a little bit of a problem, though. Glad I don't have a bait caster today.
Yeah, right. I got that red Shakespeare there for my girl back in the day. I borrowed it to use it the other day, I guess in her trunk, right where it goes into the first piece.
Okay.
It's broken, but it slides far enough down in it doesn't hurt it any. Or so far it hasn't anyway.
Are you live streaming on Twitch now?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll throw a plug on when I'm editing everything down. Take some screenshots, what you're doing and everything. Been doing that. There's a couple other YouTubers I need to meet up with later in the year.
Yeah. Have you met that Ray Adventures?
Great Adventures, no.
I'll have to send you a link. He just lives up the street from me. He's got a nice YouTube channel. Just he does all kinds of like adventuring, off-road, four-wheeling, and hikes and
You know what? Sounds familiar.
fishing.
I think someone told me about him before.
He drives a red Jeep. You'll probably see his Jeep everywhere now that I mention it. He's got the giant YouTube logo on it with his tag.
Nice.
Real nice guy.
Not going for cat. Well, might catch a catfish.
Yeah,
Debating whether or not I want to put a steel leader.
I threw a couple hot dogs out on the line.
Thinking better of it because I don't think I have any on me. Like this.
The only reason I put a hot dog on both
I did.
lines is because I didn't feel like setting up another line.
I got another steel leader because of that muskie lure I pulled out of tie nest before I
Nice.
left.
Oh, the only musky lures I own are from doing that.
He went on the other side. There we go. Just have to do both. There we go, there we go. Enough for right now.
How long you been doing the YouTube channel?
A little over a year. I'm watching during the pandemic, I'm watching all these guys doing it, like, oh man, it would be great to fish. And I didn't get out and start doing it again until like late 2020. Then I'm thinking about it, like, hey, it would make a lot of sense to do this since you're going to be out anyway.
All right.
Do it in between gigs and wherever else you have time to fish.
My initial Twitch stream was like being a fly in the wall in the restaurant I cooked at.
Oh yeah.
So I had 4 cameras set up so you could see different stations, different angles, whatever. And it was a huge hit. I made like, I think it was like 11,000 something in the first 8 months doing it.
Oh wow.
And then I quit that job. It's hard to find a restaurant that'll allow you to do that.
Yeah.
They're all worried about liability and shit. So like, it's been on and off whether I'm streaming anymore.
There we go. There we go.
Like if I'm fishing and I stream, I get a handful of viewers, not many. As soon as I turn it on in a commercial kitchen, boom, chat room's full.
That's funny.
I mean, I guess that's what they all followed me for in the first place, you know?
Yeah.
The swivel snap end of this leader broke off. Seems to be a common thing these days. So I took one of the swivel snaps that Rob gave me on our previous outing and was kind of jury rigging it in order to match this leader. So that's what I'm doing right here. And with both parts combined, I had a decent steel leader that was once again waterworthy.
There we are. She lives again. Oh yeah, watch yourself on these. These are all older ones on here, but I just got a pack of Eagle Claw swivel snaps.
Yeah.
They all started failing on me.
Oh, really?
I never had those fail. Then I'm looking at like this is a cheaper metal. Doing the magnet test, like okay, the old ones have steel. These are straight up aluminum, so they're just snapping and bending.
I stopped using them a long time ago. I just kind of came to this conclusion. It's just one more point in which something could fail, yeah?
Yeah,
So I said, I'm just straight knot to the end.
it's a legit point. I like it because it prevents line twist.
Yeah. Ain't a lot easier to switch things up.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we got 2 baits with me. Whatever this is, we're gonna put that on the mosquito circle, and we'll put the dough ball on the other 2 and see which one works better, if any at all. Looks like a pellet food with those rubber bands. Son of a gun, that's exactly what it looks like. And my dad ordered this pellet food off of, I guess, Wish.
Yeah.
Showed up a couple months after he died. My mom's like, hey, you got fishing stuff. I'm looking at it, it's like carp food. It's like little pellet food with rubber bands around it.
Huh.
Like, oh, that's fascinating. It's a meager meal. We'll put 2 on there. That'll convince him. And you drop the bag. So minus points for not having a Ziploc seal on these. I'm sure it's an absolutely amazing bait that will absolutely work. That is sarcasm. I do have my doubts about this. It's basically a drop shot rig right now. So these will float out somewhat.
What the hell? Did you put on some dough ball?
No, I used the pellets for this one because I had a mosquito circle hook already rigged up.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
put the dough ball on the other 2. Okay. It's soft than I care for, but see how it works.
At least there's a breeze.
Did put 2 eggs in this as a binding agent, but I kind of rushed my way through it today. Did put some interesting stuff in there though, so it'll track them if it stays on the hook, and that's my big concern right now. Will it stick? And the answer is no. I need to bring dry bags of corn flour with me, just in case I do screw the pooch with my measurements.
Yeah.
I could put egg as a binder in it, but it still feels like, as soon as I open up the bag, it's like really moist. I'm like, uh-oh. So, smaller chunks. Pack it tighter. Oh yeah, that's nice and goopy. I didn't have time to let it set today. The gelatin, that is. So it kind of threw off my whole perception of what it is. It was still pretty piping hot by the time I left. There we go. That's stuck on. got an initial wet patch. Ugh, feels a little bit firmer. Now the fun part, just waiting.
Right. That was what that 6-pack was for.
Buddy of mine caught probably about a 2-foot bass out of here.
Oh, yeah.
They're in here.
Oh, yeah. We did a 4th of July tournament the one year. I could have sworn my buddy was going to have the lunker. He got beat out by like a couple ounces.
Oh, wow.
I was surprised it was by ounces, not grams, if anything.
They should have stuffed some fishing weights in it.
Yeah, right.
Apparently that's the trick now.
You're right.
Have a 2-pound fish that weighs 5 pounds somehow. We don't know.
Well, the whole trip was hilarious because he had just bought this boat. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy. Little John boat, whatever. He has no boating experience.
Oh, yeah. That makes it fun.
We went out a few times on it so he could learn it, get used to it, get used to driving the trailer or whatnot.
Right on.
We get to the 4th of July tournament. He's looking at the field of boats out on the river, Southside Docks. He's like, he was like, I'll put it in. You're driving. He's like, I'm gonna be running into people out there.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, he was so intimidated. Then he decides, I think I could do this. So they're calling out flight numbers. We're way at the back of the freaking boat traffic there, and I'm like, dude, you need to start getting up there. He's like, there's too many boats. I was like, you ain't gonna hit no one, just go. Like, these guys got like 40 horsepower motors. We got about a 9 horsepower motor. We got to get up there, man.
You know.
By the time they called our number, I kicked them out of the driver's seat, and I'm just fucking as fast as this boat can go, flying through the field of people.
Current doesn't look too bad. Compared in the wintertime, everything's high tide. It just flows like crazy. Oh, what? I got
because they got all the docks and dams open.
Slower time of current for the year. I got something hiding here for you. That's right. And there it is. Stick a camera in the water, see what's going on.
Nice. I was going to ask you how you got that. Well, on your one video, there was a cool scene of a fish. I forget what it was.
I stick them, use this waterproof case and just stick them right in.
That's pretty sweet.
SD card is loaded. So this is one of those problematic ones.
Cheese it, it's the fuzz.
That is.
Do the local police stop check that license, do it?
Generally, no.
I think so. Just scoping the scene.
Where are you kids down? Carry on.
I wasn't sure about Elizabeth, but I know Clarendon cops. They don't give a fuck about nothing. As long
They
as
got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, right.
%, 17 hours on an SD card that was never designed to run these. I figured that out the hard way. They're the Ultras, SanDisk Ultras. Apparently SanDisk Ultra means it's not going to work for a high-speed device. Like, and why would you call it Ultra?
Yeah, right. How are you gonna mess with my feelings?
Oh, you need the Extreme Plus. Like, wait, what?
Extreme Plus.
Ultra sounds better. We got minnow right there. Feeder fish. So we're just gonna let this chill out here and
So you can tell a lot about a fish species depending upon an entire school. In this case, well, the only thing schooling were the minnow. And I'd like to have fun with that because you get to see their reactions, how they respond to stimulants, and it does scale up. If you've ever kept an aquarium, you pick up patterns of how these schools actually act. And how these minnow act, it's basically a faster version of what you'll get with bluegill, trout, bass, muskie. The larger the species, the slower they move, the more aggressive they get, and the less intimidated they are by stimulants. But by and large, they all kind of think alike. So something to keep in mind. Of course, this is going to be new B-roll footage just because I have a lot of fun just watching these guys in their natural habitat, how they think and respond. So we'll mess around with them a little bit too.
I was sitting down there fishing. I'm like, I really would. I was doing all right. I caught a couple cat, whatever. And then barge came along, or tugboat came along, took all the barges away. I was pissed off. It's right before dark. I'm like, oh man. Like, there goes my good cover.
yeah.
I was crushing them after that.
Oh, really?
I guess it stirred them up maybe out of their hiding holes right there. Or something.
That could happen. That could happen.
Tonight I caught that half decent flathead.
Yeah, that dough ball I threw in there is gone. Throw another one in for content purposes.
There you go.
I was down by Sharpsburg 2 years ago. I threw some of this out. Had 100 geese, Canadian geese, just
It's mobbing you.
yeah.
So there's a few reasons why I like doing this. One, it does bring all the bait fish in. If it does attract the bait fish, the bigger fish usually find that swarm, well, school, and follow them in as well. It looks good on the camera, but I also like doing it to test out different dough balls because a minnow and a carp are actually very closely related to one another. So if the minnow really like the dough ball recipe that you're using, it goes to reason that the carp will like it too. So, little tip, just something I do. And by the way, if you're looking to keep an aquarium, a minnow is actually a very non-aggressive fish in the whole grand scheme of things. They work well with certain types of tropical fish. Now, Two species you don't want to mix in with the minnow would be fancy-tailed guppies and neons. Both are a little bit too flashy for their own good. In the case of the fancy-tailed guppy, the males in particular, that big tail tells the minnow that, hey, this fish is wobbling, there's something wrong with it, and they will tear it apart in a matter of minutes. Learned this the hard way when I was a kid. Now, minnow actually pair well with gouramis. So they're a pretty friendly fish, but I would recommend pairing them with something larger. You might be able to get away with like zebra danos. I think I did that a few times, and they're pretty interchangeable with one another. Aggressive in their own way when it comes to getting food, but that's about it. But the gouramis ignore the minnow. The minnow won't touch the gouramis because they're 4 sizes bigger than them. And yeah, good little pets. The bite was still slow, so Greg and I were watching the greatest show to ever hit YouTube. Huh? Huh?
He hit an artery. Not bad. It was just a nick, but the blood pressure, in addition to it, being a blood vessel, it did bruise and it did hurt for quite a few minutes. The injury is not serious, contrary to popular belief. Catfish do not have poison on their spines or anything like that. You don't rub their belly against the wound in order to help it to heal. You don't use their urine. You don't use your urine. Just don't use
I've
urine.
heard that one before.
I don't know where these wives' tales come from.
I know where they come
don't
from.
do any of that.
Our
Fishermen.
father's telling us this shit, so we'll be careful not to get stabbed by it.
Either that or it's
Tell us
just
the worst things, so we're like extra careful.
either that or it's just other fishermen like, oh yeah, just pee on it, rub some poison ivy on it. Don't. Oh my God, it burns! Like, it's sucker.
Wash your face with a jellyfish, you'll be good.
The box ones, those are the good ones.
So the bite was still slow going into the evening, and I invited my buddy and ex-boss down, Dennis. And I've known him and his family for going on 20 years. And taught his son how to play saxophone, and he has about a Cabela's worth of tackle in his basement. So I definitely indulge from time and again and get some cheap tackle off of him.
What's new?
How you doing, brother?
Same old, same old. Dennis, Greg, Dennis.
Hey, Greg, how you doing? Nice to meet you, Dennis. We'll whip up some strawberry vanilla dough real quick.
It's basically what I'm using. Should just let me know. I have enough.
Forgot the net. We went to leave. We went to go take my wife's car. She has a bunch of crafts in the whole back of it. So then we started taking everything, putting it in his car. And we did that, and we realized the fishing rods are too big to fit in his trunk. And my wife just happened to pull in with that.
Hey, perfect time.
Yeah, it's been slow. A lot of bait fish were down there. Got some turtles floating around. Saw a couple rock bass.
There's where I caught that big ass walleye.
Oh, really?
Right in there where that stump is.
Dude, I'm not even going for a predatory fish right now. Outside of a catfish, I want the big dumb ones.
It's usually June. I'll go over there, I'll grab a chatterbait, and I'll just walk up as far as I can, cast, and come back up, walk down to the bridge, cast, and come back up. Yeah, I usually just do that when I'm down here.
Had my fun with the muskie last week. It's like, no, I want to just put bait on a hook and wait. That I think I'm still recovering from my lure losses.
Is it right? Half the time I'm fishing with lures, I'm going, there's another $7.
Oh no, these were much more expensive.
Right.
My dad ordered a bunch when he retired. It kind of ticked me off. And then with those knots just slipping out, it's like,
Oh, right.
what is going on?
Note how calmly I could say this now. it wasn't the case at the time. If you've seen the previous episode, oh boy, do you know.
Got the little rod.
Short rod. No, I didn't bring the real big one. Didn't want everybody to get pissed off. When you do overhead, you gotta go pitch straight out. You gotta go straight out so you get overhead. Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it got some distance.
That's a short rod for fork carp, set up fork carp. Because our grandfather used to do shit like that. Don't reel it in so far. Let it go.
It's cracking up. My dad ordered these months before he passed away. They came in the mail afterwards. I'm like, my mom's like, these came in the mail. The minnows seem to like them.
Mm-hmm.
But you just put them on a circle hook.
Actually, those, what you do is you hook that on to your hook, and then you pack your dough ball around it.
Oh.
That way, as the dough ball collapses onto the bottom of the ground,
Okay.
you still have something on the hook for them to find the hook.
I see. Aha. We learned something.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like the plastic corn, but it's an actual food product. Aha. Always Google the directions or learn Mandarin.
So we stayed until the sun set, and nothing was still biting outside of a few garb bumping our lines. So we made the only possible move in this scenario. We went to the bar. Actually, it was a microbrewery, Firehouse Brewery, just a few blocks away. And what a great place. And coincidentally, I ran into a band I'm going to be playing with in August. My girlfriend will be on that gig too. She doesn't watch this channel. She has no interest in fishing, and she hates me like ever using her image and, you know, to bring attraction to this channel, but she's not going to get this far into the channel or ever find it. So, hi Katie, love you. She does exist. So, we're going to be covering songs from, well, a certain band. This image should say all. And it will be at the Greenhouse Winery on August 19th. Come on, check it out. It's going to be a fun time, and there's wine too. And I actually went over to one of their houses a few days later in order to rehearse and caught some footage. Oh yeah, and they're only a few blocks away from the aquatorium, so I tried some carp fishing again at night with very little light and with very little success. And that's been the odd thing on both the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers this year, despite me using my usual places and going out 5 times for carp, far less than usual, but still reasonable enough where I should catch at least one carp. I've caught nothing. And there's no reasonable scenario where I should be able to catch trout and muskie far easier than I catch carp. It just doesn't make much sense to me. I did happen to hook into one bass and catch a rock bass. However, GoPros in the mostly darkness don't really work out too well. So I'll try to show what I can of it here. Don't expect much. But regarding the carp and catfish, there's a lot of variables at play. Some guys think it's the bow fishing. Personally, I think it might be that, at least, taking out the dumber fish that hang out closer to the shore. Other fishermen I know are saying that they're still hanging, all the carp and catfish are hanging deep in their holes. My argument is at this time of the year, under these weather conditions, that should not be the case. Yeah, of course you find the better fish in those holes. That's been a universal constant since the beginning of fishing, but the fact that we're this late into the season, the water temperatures are pretty warm in all the rivers and flow hasn't been extreme, it's kind of weird to me. And it was something I was starting to notice last year where it dipped off from the year prior. And I don't know, this year it kind of reached an impasse where it's just strange. So I'll leave it at that. But really, though, if you bow fish, you are an idiot with a small pee-pee.
That's unexpected. Another rock bass.
And that was the hardest rock bass to catch that I've ever caught. I had that second fish get off. It could have been another bass, could have been a walleye. We'll never know. But yeah, what a weird day. All of those lines in the water, 2 spots, and not a single carp pulled out of the water. That's unusual this time of the year. And I got friends saying, they're just running deep. Other friends saying, oh yeah, it's the bow fishing. Other friends saying, hey, it's just the weird weather we've been having. Maybe it's a combination of all. I don't know. The only thing I can say is it's become harder and harder to fish for carp out of the rivers, and that is bizarre to me, especially with their alleged sheer numbers and relative ease of capture. I mean, you throw bread out there, you throw anything corn related out there, they're right on that. So I don't know. So we'll try it again. We'll call this the Great Carp Hunt Part 1. And of course, there's going to be a sequel, hopefully involving carp. And that's what I'm going to be up to. And until next time, keep on fishing.